Pecha Kucha, the long game of basketball net propaganda. This is David Ezrati. I've been a part of PK Dayton almost since the start. I was supposed to give this presentation on Thursday, September 13th, 2018. When I turned my slides in, the organizers asked me to remove 4 of the 20 slides because we aren't allowed to do politics via PK's mission statement and part of our agreement with being a PK city. This was news to me. Then they relented to only wanting to remove slide 17, and when I refused, they took me off the agenda and refunded my sponsorship money. This is the presentation, with the intro they asked me to write. The slide in question will be indicated. If PK no longer does politics, I'm wondering what country we are in. Last I checked, this is America, and free speech is still a protected right. If you agree that censorship is wrong, there will be instructions at the end on what to do. David loves Dayton, although Dayton sometimes doesn't love him. He's a veteran, an activist, a voice for those who are afraid to speak, often exposing the underbelly of Dayton on his blog, Ezrati.com. He's a supporter of free speech, the Sunshine Laws, and reforming our political system. Actions speak louder than words is one of his mantras. His first PK was Volume 7, Coin Flip Politics. His second was Volume 22, How to Piss People Off. And tonight, number 3, the long game of basketball net propaganda. Political yard signs offend me. Yes, that's mine, 6th in line. They are a pox on our community. Annual visual pollution. Trash in the making. They don't add much to political discussion. It's name recognition. Nothing more. What's worse is I sell them in my business. Starting in 2009, I tried something more environmentally friendly. A stencil from Dayton Stencil with fluorescent spray chalk from the Dayglow Corporation of Cleveland. People called me names, thought I was permanently tagging the city, so the next stencils were a bit different. I added the words "relax, it's chalk" to the stencil. The best part was I could counter tag. This said "Thug Life" on a playground. I also overtagged the Dayton View Hustlers tags at the Louis Troy School basketball courts. But I wanted to do more than tag. I wanted to make a difference. This is just one rim on a basketball court in Dayton, circa 2010. The hardest part of this presentation was choosing which photos to use. Rust on rims was the least of our issues. Our playgrounds weren't fit for shit. Broken glass, trees growing through cracks, fences scrapped. Most rims required zip ties to hang a net. And hanging nets was the plan. You see, when you go to Tuffy Brooks and buy nets 100 at a time, they cost less than a yard sign. And they're actually useful. To those that hoop, having a net means a lot less chasing balls after every shot. Nice nets also send a message. The question was, how to brand a net. The answer was Krylon, permanent marking paint. The color? Fluorescent green, of course. And starting my 2013 campaign for City Commission, I would knock on doors until it got dark, and then go hang nets, often as late as midnight. I'd stencil the courts at first, and then started putting stickers on the poles. The very first net I'd ever hung in my life was at the court behind Emerson School, right down the street from me. I took this photo before I climbed a ladder. I had actually Googled on how to hang a net. Seriously, I'm a hockey player. I needed instructions. To spread the word, I turned the photos into 6 different posters. This was one of the most popular. If our kids are shooting each other, maybe it's because we never gave them a proper goal to shoot for. I sold the posters for $2 each, the cost of a net. To barbers and stylists throughout the city, like my buddy Chris at Fresh to Death, the poster he bought to sponsor a net said, "It's time to elect someone who makes it clear it's Parks and Rec, not Parks are a Rec." The idea was the barbershops would hang them up, and I'd post their info as sponsors on hoopsdayton.org. For some, it was their only presence on the web. When I found these courts at the old Parkside's Homes location, the mowing crews actually had put all the fallen branches on the courts, and the cracks had bushes growing through them. It wasn't just hanging nets on bad backboards. I often spent hours at sunup or weekends clearing courts. Of course, no good deed goes unpunished. The first yellow sticker had "Elect as Roddy" in the middle. I got called into Dayton Public Schools headquarters and dressed down by their attorney for politicking on school property. So I started cutting that part out on school sites. I blurred out the sponsor of this failed room in Edgemont in the posters. Credit outlived the gift in this case. And while I started out with the idea of nets on public courts, I soon realized basketball is all that some of our kids had. If their dream out of Dayton was to be the next LBJ or Steph Curry, I was going to help. On the left is a device to funnel the ball back to you. In the center, you've got to be nothing but net on every shot. With the help of Rob Degenhart, I put 3 really good rims up at Princeton Rec, which was one of the most used courts in the city. Probably part of the reason the old rims were trashed. I marked the rim with a green band around the front. Most of the time, I had to use some zip ties. I hate zip tying nets. Although hanging nets is a one-person job, sometimes I had help. On the left, she put the sticker up, the one that says, "As Roddy puts nets on rims because he isn't a worthless, lying politician. At least not yet." On the right, UD women's basketball phenom Jody Corneli Sigmundova and Serena helped me out. Jody barely needs the latter. Jody's French. I gave her nets to hang when she went home. When I went to Israel just before my dad died, I had some nets and zip ties with me. This is on the kibbutz where my parents met. I'm sure the kids have no idea who, what, or why the green net appeared, but I'm sure they were just as happy as kids here. As word of my efforts spread, some people reached out and said that I inspired them. This crew came out with me, and we made the Orville Wright courts and playground clean and safe again. We filled the back of the pickup truck with trash and weeds. Louis Gast, the Munsingers, I salute you. This garage, this image, makes me tear up when I look at it. This wasn't the first time I'd hung a net here. This isn't in a place most white folks would go. A few days after I'd been here, there was a story in the Dayton Daily with a picture of this garage with my net as the site of a shooting. To me, that green net is like the flower that survived a battlefield. But the battle was lost. I lost. It wasn't my first time. I even put out trash cans just before Election Day for people to recycle the damn signs. After the election helped me clean up our great city, deposit campaign signs here. I also was a bit naughty by adding another empty lot brought to you by riders to someone else's signs. Apparently, my little civic activism inspired some other creative people in my industry. Crispin Porter and Boguski recently pushed Domino's to fix the streets, to protect the pizza. Some called the campaign dystopian, where we now have to rely on corporations to take care of infrastructure that our government failed at maintaining. Remember my first net? After hanging over half of the 500 plus I've hung, the city announced in 2014 that they would spend $1 million in 2 phases to improve and resurface 23 basketball and 15 tennis courts. They also eliminated 13 tennis and 2 basketball courts. Someone with big signs said, "We want our citizens to feel good about and use our parks. We want our kids to play outside." Swish for the win. If you don't think this 20 by 20 should have been banned, take a minute to email the global site and send them this presentation with a note. Support@pechakucha.org. Ideas are not the enemy. Closed minds are.